What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video. So today we're gonna take a look at I wouldn't say my first rodeo. This is the Mezco Halloween 2 Mike Myers. Not used to doing 112, but I always wanted to get into it just for so many reasons. Mezco is pretty much the Hot Toys of 112. Well, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but if there's any better brands that kind of is closer to Hot Toys, please let me know, and I would love to take a look at them. But one of the biggest factors is the size. I love the size of 112. I think it's more space friendly. It's better when it comes to diorama pieces. It's easier to take photograph of. You know, I don't need massive scale of, I don't know, tables and whatnot, and I can actually use things around me. It's just a convenience factor. So we're gonna take a look at this. I've dove into Mezco maybe 2-3 years ago. I got the brown suit Wolverine. Did it once. Never. I don't know. For some reason, just never got into it. But now I saw this on Big Bad Toy Store, so I was just like, hey, let me take a look at this. And as a matter of fact, let me take a look at other things that Mezco has to offer that perhaps Hot Toys or other companies are not getting into. Now, Hot Toys didn't make them, but I know there's a 1/6 Mike Myers from Trick or Street Studios, and it's almost a similar price, but I always wanted, because there's so many options. Look at that, 3 head sculpts. Also, fabric suit, that is a big one for me, because if it's sculpted, then I don't think it's gonna look as good on the pictures. At least in my opinion, it still could look good, but it almost just reminds me of Hot Toys in a smaller form factor, in a cheaper price, because it's only $85 at Big Bad, and add $4 shipping. So it's not horrible if I didn't like it. Accessory wise, it comes with a bunch of hands, as you can see, open palm hands, expressive hands, hands that hold weapons, various weapons at it, and there's also a hand who already has, fixed into a stabbing motion. Here's the problem though, because it's small, it doesn't focus right away. So as you can see here, he is holding this, I don't even know what this is, scalpel, backwards, where he's ready to just stab someone. And here he is. You got the knife. You got a hammer. What is that? I believe it's a screwdriver or something. And then that's a scalpel, I believe. The details are surprisingly good for such a small item, and I love it. Again, when you have a macro lens, the thing though is with macro lens, you take a picture, you can't distinguish, even this. I've seen worse, like my 3.0 Rick Grimes. That doesn't have any weathering. And look at that. The handle of that hammer does have one. And this guy right here looks pretty cool. That's probably a syringe. I haven't seen Halloween 2 in a long time, so forgive me. I'm not the biggest fan of Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, this feels like Halloween right now. Everything's moving, and you got this pumpkin that lights up. Again, similar to Hot Toys, they come in those small size batteries for watches, and it lights up. So you take this thing out. It doesn't even have a screw, which is cool. You pop this off, you install the battery, you turn this on. The problem with this pumpkin is that you barely notice that it's lit up. It actually is. The only way to find out is, and I turned off the lights, you can see it's kind of flickering inside, and that is the effect. It doesn't show up in your eyesight, even on camera, even on hand. I'm telling you, it's not as noticeable unless you turn off complete darkness. And you get another pumpkin in here that you could open up and insert that smaller pumpkin in. I'm just calling them pumpkin. I don't know what they're called, man. That you can open up and put that in. We're getting close to Halloween, guys. We're almost at the latter leg of August at the time of this video. So kind of want to feel the vibe here. I was gonna get aliens from Mezco, but it got sold out at Big Bad. So yeah, it's a bummer. So I'll probably have to pivot elsewhere, but I want to make sure that I get one Mezco a month at least, just to get a feel of the 112 scale. And I'm slowly gonna try to build up my diorama so it would be more, I would say, better in terms of my photography and my video towards these kind of guys. But this is my first crack at 112. Again, this is not the first one. Outside, because I did review the NECA Turtles. I still have them. I have Marcus Phoenix from Storm Collectibles. I still have that. And also, what's his name? Oh, I don't have Wolverine anymore. But yeah, those guys. And now this, and look at the stand. Again, Hot Toys like. It does have those dynamic stand, which is, I don't think it's appropriate for Mike Myers. So tailoring wise, I like it. I really do. The fabric that they use, it's really tiny. I mean, it's coming from a guy from the 1/6 world. I really appreciate the tailoring, the stitches on this guy, the bullet holes all over his overalls. There's weathering on it. Again, I've seen worse 1/6 clothing than this. And you would think that it's easier because you have a bigger canvas on a 1/6 to pull off this kind of details. But for them to do it, to transition it to 112, I think it's something phenomenal that needs to be addressed. At least for the ones who are not familiar with the world of Mezco. Going up here, you can see the pockets. They're not functional, but the nice stitching. Bullet holes with blood all over his outfit here. Looks pretty good. I like the, again, the holes and the attention to detail to splatter the blood a little bit there. I love it. I love the texture that they use for the fabric. I like the weathering that they did. Subtle hints of blood as well, like dried up all over, and his arms and his legs. You can clearly see that this thing is not clean. And a split cut boot design as well. The boot is nicely sculpted. But speaking of nicely sculpted, let's talk about his head sculpt, which you can see the eyes. So the eyes are kind of sunk in, of course. You can't really see much details on it, but it's painted nicely. I think with Mezco, of course, they're not gonna look as human-like as a Hot Toys, and you gotta set that expectations. Or at least I have to, because coming from that 1/6 world where everything's painted nicely, and that's my fear jumping into this. That I guess my level of expectations is not gonna be met, because everyone's saying this is the Hot Toys of 112, and so far with this, I'm pretty happy. And then you got the I don't know. It looks like a surfer dude. Again, haven't seen Halloween 2 in a long time now. So this one is nice. You can see the seam on top of his head right there. Compared to the darker ones, it's easier to spot on a lighter color. But even this, if you don't have an artisan Hot Toys, it would look similar to this, which is, it's nicely done. I like the body proportions. I like how you insert this head sculpt to the neck with a peg. Very easy. No issues whatsoever. Should I have gone the I guess Trick or Treat Studios way? Perhaps. Maybe. But having this, look at this, without having to buy a different issue or a different character compared to Trick or Treat, which you have to buy another one. So this is basically the same mask with blood on it, which is, I think, a pretty cool effect right here. You can still see the details and all that stuff, which is nice. In the mask itself, it's not just a flat mask. There's levels of paint, dry brushing, and all that stuff that goes into this, that in my opinion looks really, really good. And this is the 3 head sculpt right here compared to each other. The size is pretty much the same. I don't know if it's the same expression or same mold. It doesn't look like it, but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong there. The neck connector is the same, and now For a figure of this size, you would expect a good articulation, and he does. You can put the arm sideways. I don't feel any bicep twist though, which is weird because you would think he would have one since it's covered anyway. So it's just strange. It doesn't have one. Now the legs can kick up pretty high. You can bend his knees pretty nicely in there. The boots would move as well. There you go, split cut boot design. And then there's an ab crunch, so you can lean him forward. And also I believe there's a cut in the middle. I could be wrong there, because again, we can't see the inside. But he is very poseable. Like, even with this clothing that you would think there's going to be some restriction, you can have him kneel down, sit down and all that stuff. So I don't see any issues with it whatsoever. Let's go to the pose session. And this is one of the biggest part here, because I have these backdrops that I have, but they're smaller in terms compared to 1/6. Normally, this is the place where I would do green screen, but I don't have to. This is the beauty, I would say, for 112, for me, at least, for me personally. So then when I shoot this kind of videos, I don't have to depend on anything digital or manipulate something, because they're easy. Backdrops are easy to come in. You can buy them at Big Bad for like $12 for photography wise. It is a lot better. And as you can see, you can raise his hand pretty high in there. Thing is, you would see the ball joints in his wrist, but it's okay. But then again, look at this. The backdrop, again, this is a practical backdrop that I have. This is not digital. If you're into photography, this is a relief. The less editing that I need to do, the more time I have to shoot more items or figures. This has no color correction, no editing at all. You can see the backdrop there. He looks nice. Even the diorama that I have of the flooring fits him perfectly. I don't need anything else, and he balances pretty well, as you can see, even in that rough terrain. I'm beginning to see or love the value of 112 now, integrating it into my collection. So expect more to see from this content. And my final thoughts on this particular Halloween 2 figure from Mezco. I like it. I really do. It's a bit jarring coming from 112 to see the size difference, the way you feel them. It's not the same. When you hold a 1/6, it's big, it's heavy. It's not the same. You hold a 112, at a certain degree, you still feel like you're holding a toy. And it is what it is. It is a toy, but a very, I would say, luxurious toy, because this is still $85. It's not something that you want to just throw around and scuff and all that stuff. With that being said, this is a good starting point if you are wanted to go to Hot Toys. This figure itself is nice. You have several options of display. You got multiple hands. You got good amount of accessories. It doesn't really occupy a massive real estate into your display. If this is something that you want to display, it's hard to mix them up with 1/6 though, display wise, because they're smaller. Like, you have to get in real close to appreciate the details. But once you do, and you're into macro photography and all that stuff, perhaps, you would start to appreciate that, hey, they have something to offer that maybe Hot Toys can't. They do have characters that Hot Toys doesn't do, like the comic book characters. There's Fantastic Four, different options. So I would keep it open if I were you. Maybe take a look at them like myself, and let me know in the comments. Is this something you see doing? I'm guessing most of my viewers are 1/6, but I love it. But thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.